I only have to do it once. Somebody does it every day. Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. All right, it is Monday morning. It is the Monday after Christmas, so I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. Hope you got to spend time with friends and family. And hey, and if you're still celebrating Christmas, that's great. I kind of think, personally, that as long as it's like Christmas, New Year's, I consider it all the holiday season. And it is crazy that the new year is right around the corner, like in a couple of days, and that 2025 is really quickly coming to an end. That's nuts. But yesterday and last night we had a snowstorm. We got about 5 inches of snow. We got to drive in some of that yesterday. It was not fun. So we went and did Bethany's side of the family for Christmas yesterday in Shawano, which is about an hour east of us. It is actually where Gen X is located. We left at about 3 o'clock and it was raining. And we got about not quite halfway here. And it went from like pouring rain to snow-covered roads in about a minute. And literally about a minute. So it was not fun. We actually got off the highway, which would be like the very eastern edge of town, and then basically took the city roads all the way through town to get back home, just to get off the highway, get away from any potential congestion and highway issues with snow. It was a more relaxing drive because we actually drove past a couple of like 3 or 4 people that went in the ditch like minutes before we got there. Yard and my driveway is done. Not too bad, didn't clean up too horribly. So now I'm gonna do the end of the lane. We'll start on the lane. Most of the lane I'll do with the 4-wheeler, but I gotta go down and do mom and dad's anyway, so I'll probably do a down and back with the bucket and then clean it up with the 4-wheeler. All right, so we are in the shop this afternoon. We're gonna work a little bit on the trailer. A couple little fun things. I got this really neat adapter I asked for Christmas. Bethany got it for me. So this is an 18-volt converter. So this is one of my old Milwaukee tools. I think they're like 15 years old. I mean, at minimum, they're 10. So this is an old Milwaukee 18 volt. It's actually the hammer drill. It still works really good. But my old NiCad batteries suck. Well, I've got the skill saw we use quite a bit, and it still works really well. This drill still works really well for the hammer feature, and the regular feature as well. But I also have a Sawzall that works really nice. They all work great. They're like old school Milwaukee tools and they're awesome. So found this adapter and I tried it out. It does work. So you just take the new 18-volt batteries, the lithium, plug it in. Works just fine. Now, yes, it does stick a little bit below what you got, but I mean, let's face it, it's not that big a deal. It also has a little USB port too, for doing any kind of charging. Well, not a huge step, but you know, baby steps here. Essentially what we did is Dad thinks this is just a rolled channel here. So there was another piece on the outside of this that came up. I think it's just the leftover parts of this were still on here, and then they were welded like every 6 or so inches. So we were grinding away, and then we got the air chisel out and kind of beat that off of there. So a lot of that channel's in okay shape. There is some spots like over here where it's completely gone. This outside is pretty solid, and the underneath surprisingly is solid. Hey, good morning. All right, we're starting out in the shop. At least I'm going to start out in the shop. There's a couple things I want to do, but first I'm going to make a fire because we're going to work in here for a couple hours this afternoon, right after lunch. So I want to make a fire, so get that going, things like that. But yesterday I showed my little adapter for my old Milwaukee tools. It does have a USB charger on it, and my cell phone is a little low. Not really, it's like 60%. But I want to charge it up. I want to see how it does for charging. So I'm going to plug it in while I'm making a fire, and we'll see how it goes. It's like a 2.1 amp. I don't know. It's probably not great. There wasn't great specs on it as far as the USB was concerned. And then I'm going to put my welding cart together and see if I can get this cleaned up and the cut 50 on there so that it's a little bit less cluttered. It's not going to go right next to the Hobart. There's not enough room for that, but maybe it'll replace where that garbage can is, the one that's right here on the end of the table. That might be a good spot for it. I don't know. So we'll see. But I'm going to plug this in. We'll make a fire, and we'll see what it's like in a couple minutes. So far, so good. In about 10 minutes, maybe 5% we've increased. As far as like percent on my phone, started at 61, went to 66. So in about 10 minutes, give or take a little bit. So I'm just glad it didn't blow up my phone. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of the charging capability of my battery adapter for my Milwaukee tool. Vevor? I don't know. VEVOR. So I'll try to put a link. Vevor? I don't know. So I'll try to put a link in the description for that as well, for the welding cart. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, so first comment about the cart after just kind of unpacking everything. Not a real negative comment, but just the thought that somebody has to do this in the shop is all the hardware, all the nuts and bolts. Screw, washer, lock washer, nut. Screw, washer, lock washer, nut. Somebody had to put all of that together. And unfortunately, I now have to take them all apart. I only have to do it once. Somebody does it every day. All right, let's start assembling. I will use the directions. I will try to follow the directions, I guess. So here we go, all put together. They do give you the chains for your oxygen or your gas mixes for the back, so you can put a tank on there. I was debating whether or not to put those on because so far we've just been using flux core wire, so we really wouldn't need the gas. But yeah, I mean it's fairly sturdy. Yeah, it was a little tedious taking all these screws apart and everything, but I think it's like $60 or $75 on Amazon. So I'll leave a link for that in the description. As far as the charger on my phone, it's gone up about 20% as I've worked on it. 15, 20%, I think, maybe 20. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for that, like being like, oh my God, it's charged my phone in like 15 minutes. That was never the case. I just wanted it to like, give me a little something while I'm in here working. So I was able to get both the MiG 200 and the Cut 50 on here. Now, admittedly, the cords are obviously going to be a little jumbled, a little messy, but you know, just for throwing it on there, getting it up, picking it up off of there, honestly, and then getting that guy just somewhere that's not on a table or a bench or a stool or honestly a 5-gallon bucket. So the welder actually fits like perfect. It doesn't quite go to the back, which is fine because the frame, like this little piece, actually sits down really nicely. Like, it's up in the back a little bit, that's fine, but this whole thing is tilted back. I mean, off of horizontal, this is probably up about 10 degrees or 15 degrees maybe, whatever. But then I like the fact that this lip actually will just fall down there. It's not sliding forward, it's not sliding backwards, so it's pretty much right where it needs to be. And then I still have plenty of handle, honestly, to grab onto. So we got some progress done on this thing. We got some of the steel held in the place pretty close. So this is the big sheet, but what we need is the big straps that are all like our big ratchet straps. They're all in the flatbed, and we still got a gap here, but we do have that small chunk that will weld here. Hey, happy Friday. All right, it is Friday afternoon, and we are back out in the shop. This morning, Dad and I did a little bumming around, because one thing he has noticed with the welding, because we have been using Fleckvieh, which essentially is the wire version of like a regular stick. So it has the shielding gas kind of built into the wire. I have not gotten the gas tank yet. Is what he's noticed is that the Fleckvieh is producing so much smoke you can't see where he's going. So we have to try some solid core. So that means we went and got a tank this morning, and then they just happen to have their American Welding and Gas brand stuff, so we're just going to try that. But we got to get it hooked up first, right?
Yes.
After we check the fire that we made after we're done bumming around. So got a tank. We didn't lease it. We do lease our acetylene tank and oxygen tank. We do lease those. We probably should just buy them. We bought this one just because the price was okay, and honestly after like 4 years you got it paid off essentially versus a lease, and it's only like $40 to fill. So all right, let's fire up, and then we'll get this guy hooked up and give her a whirl. Okay, so it took me just a couple minutes to get the settings on the welder set. So it has settings for flux, or it has settings for the different types of gases you can do. So it has a setting for mix, which is what we got. I don't know if we got 80-20 or 75-25. That probably doesn't matter. But it does have settings. If you can read that. So it's got just straight CO2, 100% CO2. And then it has a mix, a flux, and then setup for like a 98 argon, 2%. So that is for what? Stainless steel. And then you have one for aluminum. So it has different settings for that. And then the machine does the rest, does the work. I still leave it on the synergenic mode. You can just kind of play with your amps. You start with the chart, and it'll kind of tell you like, hey, this is the thickness wire you got. This is the thickness material you're welding. So it gives you a pretty nice starting point at least. But we kind of went around and just started really tacking it. Dad's not really overly excited on these outside, on the top tacks. So these guys, we weren't grinding down through the paint. Some of them went through really, really well, but others not so great. You can see down on the bottom there's little ticks where Dad just spot welded it. And then we're using this ratchet strap. And then these 4x4s, and especially on the top here, we're moving this 4x4 along. We probably should have been tacking top and bottom at the same time, like tack a couple on the top on the outside, tack a couple on the top on the inside, because we wanted to weld on the outside on the top and then on the inside on the bottom. It would just is easier for Dad to do that. But then this is just picking up the gap that was forming right here. And then that's what the ratchet straps are for, to help pull that tight. And then the 4x4 gives us that local squish. But just a little bit of an update. So we're gonna head to the farm and feed. My cousin and her husband are actually coming. I think are they on the north side of Fond du Lac? They're in the Fond du Lac area, but they're coming up. Their son actually plays hockey in Stevens Point tonight for UW Eau Claire, and they're going to watch his game because it's pretty close for them. But they're also going to stop over and pick up their quarter of beef. So that'll be nice. And they won't have to worry about it freezing tonight on their way home. They can just sit in their vehicle. No issue with that tonight. So, all right, let's head back to the farm and we'll start feeding. Hey, good morning. All right, it is Saturday morning. We're going to keep this one rolling. Normally I do the week and a weekend because they're kind of two different types of video, but this time with the holiday and everything, figured why not? Plus, then we're working on this guy and I've been giving you just little updates here and there. So this morning I didn't think about it too much. I threw a bunch of my farm stuff in the wash, and then I went to go get ready, and I'm like, oh, I just threw a bunch of my stocking caps in. So I've got this little basket next to where I have all the farm stuff, and I don't know where this hat showed up. I think Bethany got this for me a couple years ago, but it's Carhartt. It's nice. It's warm, but it's got these little like ear flaps. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to wear this more often. This is kind of snug and comfy, but yeah, gonna get a fire going. And then we'll come back and we'll work on our project again and fire up the Arc Captain MiG 200 again and put that guy to work. Two really nice investments. And this is turning out to be a pretty decent rig. The stand that Bethany got me for Christmas, the cart. And then we got the tank yesterday. So yeah, these are two for, I think, less than... what would it be? Less than $500? Not a bad investment. And both of those have adapters. You can run them on 120 or 110, however you want to say it. Inexpensive and decent quality product. All right, I guess I'll give you guys a little update. So we've gotten some pretty good progress, and it's gone okay. One thing we regret doing is before we put this steel on, is we should have ground, or at least like sanded or wire wheeled or something, like this section, like, you know, like through here. Because we did come back, you know, Dad went and tacked all these, and then we came in with a grinder and kind of hit this corner to get the paint away, but it still was hitting paint right when it would meet up with the tack. Like here was his extra weld, here was the tack. You know, I think here's the tack and here's the rest of his weld. So some of them don't look the greatest, and you can see how the paint then started to peel away. So we should have come in first and we should have gotten that out of there. We've got this all on. This is the extra section. We actually just overlapped it 1.5 inches, and then Dad welded it decent, and then we'll come in and either this'll get caulked, or this is gonna get, if I can find like JB Weld with a mixer, or find a way to like run it through something with a tip on it, and then we'll put it right in that edge. So I mean, like all these joints, like here's a weld, this is caulk, and then there's a weld here, weld, caulk, weld, caulk, weld, you know. So that's what they did for the whole trailer, and we'll redo that for the whole thing too. But we're gonna come over a lot of this and hit it with a sanding wheel just to kind of knock some of these humps off, and it's not too bad. And this thing is solid as a rock. You know, you have the old bale pound test. You know, this thing is solid. And we were looking at it because we put 14 gauge on here. This is 14 or it's 16. It looks just a frazzle thinner than this stuff. So it should hold up for quite a few years. Hey, good morning. All right, we are gonna start working on the trailer again. Got the heater going, got the furnace going. What I'm gonna do is put the wire wheel on the grinder. I think I got the batteries charged, so we're gonna use the Milwaukee 18 volt grinder. That works pretty darn decent. Go inside, and there's that, I'll show you, there's that lip in there. We're gonna start buzzing that down, one, to prep it, but mostly right now to prep it for getting good stitch welds on there versus the tacks that Dad started. All right, so this is the lip we're dealing with, about an inch, 3/4 inch to an inch. There's a couple of spots that aren't the greatest, but there is structure underneath that, because this is one big little channel. So I'm gonna buzz, especially where the welds are. I'm gonna clean up this space, so then it also preps it for later on when we want to paint it. It's coming together. I mean, it's functional now. I mean, all we'd have to do really is close the door and hook up, and we could use it, which is what we're going to do on Wednesday, because we do have to haul steers on Wednesday, and then we'll clean it out, we'll bring it back in, and we'll do the painting stuff, because it'll be like 2 weeks till we haul our next animal. All right, so we are going to feed. Took a little bit of a lunch, watched some of the Packers play their last horrendous regular season game, but honestly, they're so beat up, it really doesn't surprise me. So Dad will be here in a little bit. Yesterday we bedded down the bulls, and they've got it so spread out, I might actually go in there and kind of pull some of it together, but they needed a really good bedding yesterday. I did just remind myself that we do need to pull our next 2 steers out. We wanted to do it today, so we don't have to do it tomorrow. Factor's not gonna like this though. He's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing? That's how I get in there. He's gonna take a little break. Okay, I wish I kind of had my camera with me, but I forgot that I stuck it on the tractor. But we swapped out the bale for the bull. Dad didn't think he'd really been picking at it very well. It's a nice grass bale. We threw it in for the steers, and they're mowing on it. Cows typically will do that. You throw something in that they haven't had for a while and it's still good quality, they will go after it, even though they've got better quality stuff in their feeder. All right, these are the 2 boys we picked out. Everybody's so equal in there. 29, he always is so curious, so he came right away. And then the mic drop on the right there was prime pickings. Ooh, a little crust here. But we're going back, long shed, all the way to the back. And these guys will be able to camp out in the back pen. You know, and that's kind of why we still give them grain. You know, I always like the comment that when Mike was on Our Wyoming Life, he made the comment once that we try and give our steers, especially the feeders, the fats, the best life they can have that we can provide for them until the day that they go. So we're going to keep graining them, good quality hay, good water. It's nice and dry in there. They're out of the wind. So do you get a little attached? Do you get a little sad? If you don't feel it, you don't feel nothing then, apparently. That is their job. They are beef animals, and they're going to make some very good beef for our customers. And a lot of our customers are family and friends and people that we know. So we want to give them a great product, and these guys are born and raised to do just that. Sometimes it's hard. Some are a little harder than others. Some you honestly are like, you know what, I can't wait till the day you go. But our steers have been pretty good. They always behave themselves pretty well. So it's always kind of like, hey, you did a really great job while you're here. Go do your one last thing and make some good beef. So that's kind of how I always like to think about it. So I hope you guys liked watching that repair on the cattle trailer. Yes, we are not done. That is obvious. But the trailer is functional. It's functional. And the thought is not to wait so long. It is going to be, we're going to pull it out, haul on Wednesday, and then for next weekend, put it back in and clean it up. It is the end of the day. It is Sunday. It's the end of the weekend. I got to go back to work tomorrow. I hope you guys liked the video. Please, on your way out, hit that thumbs up button. Helps support the channel. And of course, if you got any questions, by all means, leave them in the comments. Love answering those questions and hearing the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Help us get to our new goal of 4,000 subs by the end of the year. So with all your help, every sub, every like, every comment, we'll get there. And as always, thanks for coming along.